Hi there, guys. This is Amy from The Bridge Coaching, and this is the first part of the 6 core needs series that we're recording for you guys, especially around the 6 core human needs in terms of when you're traveling, living in a new country, embarking upon a career change, or anything else that you're doing that's quite different and quite new for you. So this series is about working out what drives you, not what's important to you, but what drives you. What's important to you is more around your values. You can look at the work of people like Dr. John Demartini and other people who specialize in that sort of stuff. But what I want to do in this series is to really get you thinking about what drives your decisions. You know, what do you need in order to make certain decisions? You know, what do you need to know in order to move ahead with a career change? For some people, they do it like that, super quickly. They just don't even think about it. They just move on and do the next thing. And some people really need to think about it, really need to consider all the stuff. And some of this is because of our circumstances, but half the time it has nothing to do with our circumstances. It's got to do with what our core human needs are about. So in this series, we're going to talk a little bit about what those are. I've done a few blog posts in the past as well, which I'll share in the description to this video so you can go and read a little bit more about it, mostly from a relocation angle. So if we start looking at the first one, it's one of my favorite ones, certainty. Certainty is a huge thing. It's connected to certainty, safety, and comfort, which is how much do you need to know what's going to happen? So there, you know, in the next video, we're going to talk about variety and adventure, which is sort of the counterweight on the seesaw to this need. But when it comes to certainty and knowing, some people need it more than others. I, for example, am driven to some extent by certainty, and it can play out in a few different ways. And I will share this quite openly because I think it will be helpful for a few people out there. So I know that I am driven by certainty, and before I make any big decision like a career transition, moving to a new country, I need to know a few things. I need to have a budget. I need to know how certain things work in that country that I'm going to. I need to know that I've prepared well enough. I'm totally okay with some level of uncertainty because you can never know everything, but I am also comfortable not knowing a fair bit. So how this tended to play out for me in the past is that because I had a high need for certainty, I like to be in charge. I like to know. I am very able to admit now, after having worked on this for quite a few years, that I used to want to control people. I used to be the kid who decided what game we were going to play, and those sort of things. So if you have a high need for certainty, you will usually only enter in situations if you are able to some way control or influence how that's going to happen. Some people are very comfortable coming along, which means that they're probably a little bit more, you know, easygoing or whatever you'd call it. But people driven by certainty have a strong need to know. There's an unresourceful and a resourceful way of getting this need met. If you have a need for certainty, you will get this need met anyway. But if you can pivot towards the resourceful side more and more in more and more areas of your life, you will find that you are going to be a lot more comfortable with big moves and big career changes. So the unresourceful way to get certainty, I mentioned it before, it's things like procrastination, perfectionism, control behavior where you want to control what other people are doing, when they're doing it, how they're doing it. I see this all the time in expats preparing to go to another country, that someone just takes control of the whole planning process and doesn't let the rest of the team or the family or the other person in the couple help out because they want it done their way. And that's a strong signal to me that this person has a high need for certainty and being in charge. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But one thing to remember is that you cannot impose your need for certainty on other people. You can ask the right questions, you can become an excellent communicator, but there is no way in any circumstance that you can know for sure what other people are going to say or do. So there's no point in trying to control it. The most unresourceful thing I see people do when it comes to certainty is anger tantrums. And I used to do them when I was a child, when I was a teenager, and up until a few years ago. I used to get very, very upset because I felt out of control. And an anger tantrum is a very quick way of regaining control. But the problem with anger is that it's a very energy intensive way of controlling a situation. It doesn't last for very long. And in order to control the situation, if you're in the same group next time, you need to get louder, etc., etc. And that's why anger can very quickly escalate if the person is not feeling heard. You may be chuckling now or nodding or kind of thinking, oh, I know someone who's a bit like that, or I'm a bit like that. How do I do that? Well, this is the answer. The way to have certainty is to know that change will always happen. Growth will always happen. Things will never plan out or pan out exactly the way I want them, however well I control the situation or try to control it. So the only thing you can have certainty in is you. And this came at a big price for me. It took a long time for me to realize this, and a lot of not failed relocation, but the relocations where I tried to control my partner, I tried to get other people to do things my way, and it didn't always help. So one thing you can do this is to reprogram yourself over time, and it doesn't all have to happen in one go, but move towards this. Understand that the only thing you can have certainty in is yourself. So what I tell myself whenever I'm facing something new or I feel a bit out of control, and I literally just close my eyes for a second wherever I am and I go, whatever happens, I can handle it. Whatever happens in this relationship, I can handle it. I'll be fine. Whatever happens at work, I can handle it. And if I can't handle it myself, I can go and find out from someone else how to do it. I can absolutely manage with what I know and what I learn and the resources I have available. And this sounds really cliche, and when you're really angry or really upset or really sad, this can be really difficult. But I swear, if you train yourself to do this over time, which I have, you will notice massive differences in your behavior and your need to do those old things, the procrastination, the perfectionism and all that. There's a lot of things to this, and if this really resonates with you, I'd really encourage you to continue watching the rest of this series. And just you may kind of listen to this and go, yeah, that's kind of true for me. It might not really be mine. Continue listening to the other ones, because as we unfold and unpack the 6 core human needs, you'll probably notice which ones resonate more or less with you. All right, so I hope you stick around for video number 2, which is going to be about variety and adventure. So I look forward to talking to you soon in video number 2.